Welcome to our webinar for today, December 9th of 2015, our 40 apps in 40 minutes. Now we have a tradition of putting on this. This is the third year we've done it. Wonderful. Before we get started, let me have everybody please type into the text chat box what school you're coming from. All right, we've got Smalley, Forbes, Clark High School, White Middle School. I think that's supposed to be NBLA. Thank you, Thomas. Durango, Hewitson, Roundy, Beckley, Western, Tanaka, Vegas Verdes, El Dorado, Hinman, Spring Valley, Rancho, Callahan, Forbes, Steele, West CTA, El Dorado, Tartan, May, McDaniel, Mojave, my old stomping grounds, Deering, and Adams. Very good. So we've got a good mixture of elementary school, middle school, and high school. All right. I am Mark Oakton, one of the coordinators here at Instructional Design and Professional Learning Division. I get to work directly with the digital coaches and instructional technology. We have 4 coaches who will be presenting with us today. Jesus Diaz, who looks like just now finally getting on. He had some technical difficulties. We have Cindy Jones, Julie Jones, and Carol Morio, who will be presenting with us. So we're glad to have everybody here today. Before we get into the webinar, I have some information that this is really pertinent to the people who are going to be viewing this in playback. But if I put it out here right now, then it'll make it so they all know. If you are viewing this in playback, I hope that you are viewing it the correct way by playing it back in the browser or launching on the desktop. If you downloaded this file, it will be a valuable experience for you, and I hope you learn a lot. But the attendance will not be recorded in Saba Meeting, which means it will not go into Centra. Will not go into PathFloor. So if you are viewing this after having downloaded the file, please go ahead and exit out of the download and go back into the Saba Meeting, take the link again, and view it in the browser or on the desktop. That way we can give you credit for viewing this in PathFloor. As well, in the playback, to exit at the very end after you finish viewing the webinar, and this is an image from one of our webinars last month. In the bottom right-hand corner, again, this is only for the playback, in the bottom right-hand corner, you must click on the link that says Log Attendance and Exit. If you do not do that, it will not record your attendance and you will not be able to receive credit in PathFloor. Okay? So I'm putting that at the very beginning. I'll remind at the end to make sure that people have done that correctly. All right. Real fast, let me have everybody type into the text chat box what your favorite app is. The favorite app that, not for your personal use so much, but for your use with students. What have you used? I'm seeing ClassDojo, Google Maps, ClassDojo again, Plickers, ClassDojo, it's popular, Google Drive, Kahoots, Common Core Standards, Remind 101, GarageBand, Math App, Kahoot, Edmodo. I've seen Maps and Dojo popping up quite a bit, as well as Kahoot. Let's see, ChatterKit is a new one, SumDog. We have some people that aren't quite sure what apps are, so this will be really good for you, and some people that haven't tried it yet. Excellent. Alrighty. So some of you are very experienced with this. Some of you, this will be brand new for you. So I think we have something here that will apply to pretty much everybody. All right. Without any further ado then, let's get into it. And I believe that Carol is going to get us started.
Hi there, this is Carol Morio. It's great to see everybody online this afternoon. Before we get started sharing our list of 40 apps, we wanted to share with you why we added the apps to our list that we did this time around. And we felt it was really important to share with you apps that are free. We know as teachers we're on a budget and our schools are on a budget as well. So there's lots of high quality apps out there for education that are funded through advertising or other sources like grants. So that we can use them at no cost with our students. This is really important if we're asking students to download apps as part of Bring Your Own Device in the Classroom, also commonly known as BYOD. And some of the apps that we're sharing with you today do have a cost for premium features. Sometimes those are called freemium apps because they're free to try, but you pay for extra features. And if we suggest any apps like that, it's because we really thought that they were worth the money, because those features really go above and beyond what you would get with a free app. If you have the funding, go for those. If not, there's plenty of others in the list that are absolutely free with no add-ons and no worries. Also, while many schools own iOS devices like iPads, we know that lots of you and your students are bringing your own devices, so we're also trying to include as many apps as possible that run on multiple platforms, such as iOS devices, Android devices, and via a web browser. And then also, in order to ensure that we are presenting a variety of apps for you that go with all sorts of grade levels and subject areas, we're organizing our list into the categories that you see here on the screen. So that's Google, reference, formative assessment, sharing, digital publishing, professional productivity, subject-specific apps, and then we're also going to give you some bonus content with creating a demonstration. And so at this time, I will turn things over to Julie so she can start sharing our first apps.
Thanks, Carol. The first set of apps that I'm going to share with you are Google Apps. Many of the schools have become or are becoming Google Apps for Education schools. If you are one of those schools, I would highly recommend getting the following apps on your devices. Even if you are not one of those schools, you as a CCSD employee have access to a Google Apps for Education account. If you're interested in getting that set up, please see your digital learning coach. I do want to start out by saying these apps are not exactly the same as they are on the online version, but they do have some nice features and make it easy for you to use the Google Apps. So the first app is Google Drive. Drive is basically a cloud storage area. It's like a virtual USB. Having Drive installed on your device makes it very easy to get things from your device to your computer. In the Drive app, you are able to upload new items from your device, so if you took pictures or videos. You can also create new folders or use the camera right from Drive and share those items if you wanted to share them with other colleagues. The next app is Google Docs. Docs is Google's version of Word. Having it on your device allows you to create and edit Google Docs as well as share them with other people. If you were going to have your students do any kind of word processing, this is a great way to do that. The next app is Google Sheets. Sheets would be Google's version of Excel. With this app, again, you can create, edit, or share spreadsheets. Following that is Google Slides, and Slides is Google's answer to PowerPoint. The app allows for creating, sharing, and editing slideshows. All of the above apps mentioned should be installed if you would like your students to be able to work on assignments from Google Classroom. So the last app is Google Classroom. Classroom is available to anyone with a Google Apps for Education account. It is a learning management system which allows teachers to create, collect, and grade assignments paperlessly. At this time, I would like to turn the microphone over to Jesus.
Hi, can everybody hear me? Okay, sounds good. Okay, so for my portion here, I am going to start off with the Kindle app. Now, the Kindle app is an e-reader. For those of you guys that remember back in the day, we used to actually have e-readers, which were like the Kindle, the Nook, and stuff like that. Well, they have an app for specifically the Kindle, and you have access to millions of books that are available on Amazon, plus magazines, newspapers, textbooks, PDFs, what have you. You do need to set up an Amazon account with through Amazon, and it's free. And there are many free books here, as well as books that you can purchase. The next app that I have is Google Earth. Now, some of you guys have probably used this on your computers, your PCs, or shown it in your classroom through a projector. There is a Google Earth app that is great for working with maps. It allows the user to see satellite imagery of places that they choose anywhere in the world. Now, when I was teaching adult ed as an ESL teacher, we used Google Earth as a way for them to look up their hometown, where they grew up, which country they came from, and they were able to practice their English skills based on prior background knowledge of places that they grew up in. So it was a great tool to use with that. The next app that we have is the NASA app. Now, this app is a great way to learn about our solar system and beyond. The app gives you access to videos, news, feature stories, and even tweets. So it's a great way to learn about space. Okay, at this time, we're going to turn the time over back to Julie.
Thanks, Jesus. So our next area is formative assessment. As many of you already know, formative assessment can be a very powerful tool used in the classroom. So we're going to share some apps that you could use with that. The first one is Plickers, and I saw a few people in the text chat put that they have used Plickers before. Plickers is a great app for formative assessment. It is a low-tech version of Responders. Prior to using this app, you would want to visit the Plickers website and download the Plicker cards to print out. I recommend printing them out on cardstock to make them a little bit more durable. Each card has a unique shape on them, along with the letters A, B, C, or D on each side, and a number. In order for a child to choose a response, they would simply hold the side of the card up that correlates with their answer that they would like to choose. The teacher then uses a device to scan the cards with the app open and the student responses register. Just like teachers can either create quizzes ahead of time or on the fly and use that data as you see necessary. The next app is Socrative. Socrative has both a teacher and the student app available. In the teacher version or online, you as the teacher are able to create quizzes. Those quizzes can be thought out and planned in advance or created on the fly. You could also use this app as an exit ticket. This app is a great way to conduct formative assessment. You can take the data to create groups or revisit topics as needed. The students join by opening up the student app, and entering your room with the room name that you give them. The next one we have on our list is actually not an app, but works well with devices. It's GoFormative. It can be used on computers or any device. It is a site that you sign up for free, and it allows you to create electronic assignments for your students. You are able to either create something from scratch, or you can upload a PDF, a picture, or a Word document that you already have on your computer. So if you already have quizzes created in that form, you could just upload them. One of the reasons we chose to feature GoFormative today in this venue is because it does have the feature that allows students to draw their answers. This feature works best on a device compared to a computer. Students could label a picture, show their work on a math problem, or create a diagram of the water cycle. It's a pretty powerful tool. They also have great support and lots of videos and things out there on how to use them. The next app is Kahoot. Kahoot also is not an app at this time, but it's a great way to conduct formative assessment in your classroom. It can be used on a computer or a device. A teacher can either choose from some of the quizzes that they already have available or create one of your own. What sets Kahoot out from the other assessment tools that we have shared so far today is the way the questions are delivered. They're delivered in a game-like format, and that way you should definitely go check it out at getkahoot.com. Padlet is another great tool. Padlet could be used as a brainstorming tool, a way to showcase work, or an exit ticket. Students can post multimedia items to their posts, pictures, links, other documents. Padlet's format looks like a wall, and your students add a post with what looks like a sticky note to the wall. StickPick is an app that lets you randomly choose a student. It's just similar to the old-fashioned can with the sticks in them. You just tap, swipe, or shake. Once you pick a student out, it has question starters for you to ask those students, and you can choose the different levels of Bloom's taxonomy for the starters. The teacher can then record how well the student responds during the classroom discussion. If a student is consistently scoring near the top or bottom, they can simply then change the level of Bloom's taxonomy so the students aren't either bored or frustrated. Depending on the student's level of English proficiency, they might be asked a simple yes or no question or to elaborate in longer sentences. At this time, I would like to turn the microphone back over to Carol.
Actually, Julie, I'm going to jump in here real fast. Thank you very much. I want to make this a little bit interactive for everybody that's viewing this live, at least. In the text chat box, we've seen 14 apps right now. I want you to just type into the text chat box really briefly, a sentence or even a fragment of a sentence. How do you think you might use one of these apps that you've already that we've shown you in your classroom tomorrow? What would you do with one of them? If you're watching the playback, you'll have a moment of silence now.
For those folks who are watching the playback, it looks like we've got a lot of folks who want to start using Kahoot for their review, especially with the final exams coming up in January. Some folks looking at Google Docs and Google Drive for assignments. Go formative, using things like the human body and bones. Also, some folks in there mentioning about the cardstock idea on Plickers. Also, a little tip on that, we recommend that you do not laminate the cards, as sometimes the laminating film creates a glare with the overhead lighting. Plus, when they get ratty, and they will, whether you laminate them or not, you can actually still recycle them if they're not laminated, and once they're laminated, you kind of lose out on that. Folks are going to use Kindle app for their lower level students to find a variety of books. And some other ideas in here are using Google Earth for their social studies classroom. Teacher thinks that her first grade students will love it. So lots of great ideas for folks in here.
Quite a few people mentioned using some of these apps for the formative assessment and focusing on checking for understanding, and we so appreciate that as well. Thank you. Thank you for your input, and I think that you guys have some great ideas. Feel free to peruse through the ideas that people posted in the text chat, and maybe find a few that will work for your classroom. All right, we're going to turn it back over to Carol now.
All right, thanks, Mark. So our next group is sharing, and really that's one of the neat things about using mobile devices in the classroom, whether it's tablet devices, small laptops, or cell phones and things like that. And so we've got just a couple of apps for you that you may not have thought about using for sharing in your classroom. Our first one is a QR code reader, and we've got a brand that's listed here, but it really doesn't matter which brand you pick. And one of the other things that I've done for you here is listed a website called Learning in Hand that has a great blog post with all kinds of ideas for how to use your QR codes in the classroom. QR stands for quick response, and it's a lot like a barcode. It was originally designed to track auto parts in Japan, and we can use that QR code to link to other kinds of information, things like websites, videos, calendar events, maps, contact information, audio, all sorts of things. And this is great for you to implement in your classroom. When you check out the ideas on Learning in Hand that's linked here on the slide, you'll find some really cool ideas like putting QR codes in the front cover of the books in your classroom library, or even in the library at your school, that link to video book chats that the students do. Other ones, such as scavenger hunts, where you post QR codes around your classroom or even around the school, and as students scan the code, they get a clue that takes them to where the next code is located. So lots of great ideas for you there. The next one that we have for you in the sharing section is called Chirp. And Chirp is really unique because it uses the power of sound to share information. With Chirp, you can share a link, a photo, or even a note. And it works kind of like AirDrop works. For those of you who are iOS users, it has a built-in feature called AirDrop where you can send something wirelessly to another device and not have to worry about email or text messaging and things like that. As long as they're in close proximity, you're close enough to do that. Well, AirDrop only works on on iOS devices, so that leaves out our entire Android community. But Chirp works on all of those platforms, and so it's really kind of a neat thing. You set your device to send out a sound for a particular link, a photo, or a note, and all of the devices that have the Chirp app open are listening for the sound, and then they get the information right away. So it's great for disseminating information to a whole class of students quickly, or for your students to turn information back into you, or for them to share with each other in a group. So really kind of a nifty little thing that you may not have had a chance to try. Next, I'm going to turn things over to Cindy, who's going to share some information about digital publishing with you.
Hi everyone, I'm going to be talking about some digital publishing apps, which is really a great way for kids to use their devices to show what they know in creative and different ways. So the first one we're going to take a look at today is Shadow Puppet, or Puppet EDU, and this is a storytelling app. You can use it to combine photos and video. You can add your own narration, music, and text. You can add the video and then rearrange your images easily. It's a very easy app to use with students. And the videos save easily to the camera roll, making them easy to turn in through Edmodo or Google Classroom. I've used this with kindergarten and third grade students, but it's a great app for any age student. The next one is Book Creator. This is a great app and it makes a simple, great-looking book. You can quickly and easily add images to your book. You can add and edit text. Change fonts and resizing text is very easy to do. And you can even add video and voice to your books. You can print the books as a PDF, which is a great way to get them and use them. The hard part is that to get the full power of this app, you do need the purchased version. They do offer the volume purchasing. I'll see if I can, Simon's telling me to talk a little louder, so I'll turn my mic up just a little bit. The volume purchasing makes the app 50% off when you're getting them on there. Is that better? Can you hear me now?
A little bit louder, Cindy, if you could.
All right, I'll turn my mic up a little more. How about now? Better?
Folks, go ahead and give us a green check if Cindy's volume is okay. Give us a red X if you'd like her to crank it up a little more.
I've turned it up a bit, so you can let me know if you can still hear me. How's that?
I think we're doing good, Cindy. We got mostly green checks at this time.
Perfect. All I can see is one red check, so we'll just keep going. So the next app I'd like to talk to you about is Telegami. Telegami is an app that allows students to create narrated animations. The students can select their avatar or their character and they get to customize it. What's really nice about this is you can make the avatar look like yourself, or you can change the hair to do whatever you'd like it to look like. Backgrounds can be selected either from the choices in the app, or you can import them from the camera roll on the device. Students add their voices to their animations to tell stories. They can report on something they're studying. The completed animations can also be saved to the iPad camera roll and can be later incorporated into other projects, possibly using iMovie. There is a paid version of this app, and the paid version allows you a lot more things like more customization of your avatar, but for the most part, you can do pretty much what you need to do with it within the free version. So the next app is Comic Heads Lite, and this is really nice because kids are really into making comic books right now. The app has many layout options for the students to use, including scenery, characters, and word bubbles. It's a real fun and creative way for students to show their understanding. If you think about using it in your science classroom or for a historical event, they could use it to retell a story. They can be used for vocabulary, to do some persuasive writing, or even an autobiography. When they're complete, the comics saved to the camera roll, and once again can be easily shared with teacher or classmates. There is a full version available for this, and this is an upgrade that you can purchase, but it does work really well in the free version. PicCollage is the next app we're looking at, and this is a really great way for kids to create graphics or infographics. This app is free, and one of the things that's really nice about it is it has settings available where you can add more restrictions for younger students, which would limit where they can share and where they can search to find the images for their infographics. Some of the features include options for different layouts, including some comic book looking layouts, photo editing within the app, where they can add text, stickers, and backgrounds, and then finally it publishes to the camera roll. The next app we're going to look at today is ChatterKids. ChatterKids there's ChatterKids and ChatterPix. ChatterKids is an app designed for all ages of students, including the young kids. This allows students to take a photo of themselves or anything and give it a voice. Their image can then become a 30-second video. Images can be taken directly within the app, or they can be imported from the camera roll. Students can use this app to retell a story or tell their own story, explain a concept or something they've learned, or I like it just to have kids record their own voice reading. The images can be enhanced with stickers and text before the video is saved to the camera roll. Eraser is really different than all of the other apps in this group because it is really just more of a tool. This is an app that allows a student to take a photo and remove the background from an image. They could take a photo of themselves if they wanted to, like green screen a still image into another app. A couple of things that you might want to use with it is thinking about when you take a picture is to use a solid background behind it, which is going to make the image process a lot easier for removing that background. The next app is WordPak, and this is a word cloud creator, and similar to some of the other word cloud creators, which you've probably seen on the computer, this one will let them save their image or their words in a shape. Students can type words directly into the app, or they can copy and paste. They can choose the color, the shape, and then the layout or direction of their words. It's a great tool for vocabulary, character analysis, descriptors of books, and other subjects. Story Creator is an easy-to-use e-book publishing app. Students get to customize the cover of their book, and then within the book they can use easy drawing tools, and they have the ability to add text and record their voice. One feature that's a little different in Story Creator than some of the others is when students record their voices, they can align it to the words as they're reading. So students can allow the book to be read aloud with their audio to go with it. To share the books, teachers do need to create an account on their site, and if they're going to share the book with another device, both devices need to have the Story Creator app installed on it. The last app I have for you is actually a set of apps from the International Reading Association, or Read Write Think. They have 9 apps available from this site. They range from poem writing to trading cards and Venn diagrams. There's an alphabet organizer that allows students or teachers to create worksheets based on letters, and also a crossword puzzle maker. These apps work really well in a center because they allow for many students to sign in and save their work and continue to come back as needed. So for a teacher who only has one iPad in the classroom, this entire group of apps works really well in the class. I'm going to turn this the microphone over to Carol now so she can share some more apps with you.
Great, thanks, Cindy. Our next group of apps is all about professional productivity. And if you've ever seen me do any kind of presentation before, you know I'm all about being efficient. So this is like my favorite category ever. Our first app that we have is called BookBuddy. And if you've ever wanted to be just a armchair librarian, this one is for you. This is going to help you manage your classroom library. So you can catalog all of the books that you have in your classroom using their ISBN barcodes by just using the camera feature to scan those. And it imports them into your online library, and then you can track all of those books and check them out to students or colleagues. You'll know the date that you checked them out, who you checked them out to, and it can even help give you some reminders so that if you're not getting the book back as quickly as you'd hoped for, that you're going to be able to remember who you got it from. So that's BookBuddy. Our next one on the list, I use this daily for both my personal and professional life, and it's called Wunderlist. Microsoft just bought them out recently, and they've even made some additional improvements, which are great. This lets you manage all of your tasks. So this is lists, lists, and lists. And the neat thing about it is you can install the Wunderlist app on your computer, whether it's a Mac or a Windows platform. You can install it on all of your mobile devices, and the lists, when you sign them for your account, syncs across your device. So if you add something from your phone and you go to look at your iPad later, it's right there and it's ready to go. You can have multiple lists, and you can even use their collaborative features, allowing you to share lists with groups of people. They do have a pro paid account that has some additional features, but I've been using this app for about 4 or 5 years now, since it was brand spanking new, and I have yet to find the need to upgrade to their pro account because their free features are just so robust. The next one that we have for you is called Remind, and you may be familiar if you've used it in the past. They used to be called Remind 101, and they just got rid of the 101 at the end. This is going to allow you as a teacher to easily send text message updates to students and parents without giving out your phone number. So it's kind of this masking situation. You set up your account online, and then you give out the code to whomever wants to get your messages, and they opt in using the text message feature on their device. They can opt out at any time, and it sets up kind of this firewall so that if you need to send that information, they're going to get the information and not get your phone number tied to it. They've added some new features where you can have them text back to you, but again, it's just not going to bombard your phone. You can do all of that information in update exchange all online, so it's really kind of nifty. The next one that I have for you is TED. And TED's tagline is Ideas Worth Spreading. It's an international conference. It's held in locations all over the world. There's the big TED conference that's yearly, and then they have all kinds of mini conferences just for particular zones throughout the year and for particular ideas, including TED Education. You're going to find topics not just like education, but also science, global issues, creativity, and even entertainment. And they're a great way for you to expand your professional development, and some of them are even appropriate for you to share with students for their educational goals. Google Translate is another one that has really been useful for me in my job role. It's a simple but really powerful translation tool. You just type or talk to your device in whatever language you want and choose the end language, and Google will translate it for you in both written and verbal form. Now, keep in mind it's a computer translation, so it's not the same level of translation when you're consulting a native speaker, but if you really need to do a quick translation on the fly, it's great for that. I've used it both when working with the public in school settings and as well as traveling abroad in a number of countries, and had great success. Oops, I'm scooting along too fast. There we go. ClassJojo is another one of my favorites. This is really great for tracking student behavior and engagement in class. You're going to go online and set up your teacher account and create your class at that time, and you can just put your student names in. You can either type them in by hand or do an upload with that. And it allows you to make notes about your students throughout the day, both positive or improvement types of notes, and you can set what kinds of notes they're going to be, such as for our elementary students, good job in line, answering questions, things like that. For our older students, you can make their behavior marks a little bit more sophisticated as well. Each student has a little character that appears on the screen. I see a lot of our teachers will have their Class Dojo website just up on their smart boards throughout the day, and the students can come up and tap if their little icon and issue points for themselves. But it's nice in that mobile environment because as a teacher, you can be walking around with your device and issue points to students as well. So it's really kind of a neat way. The other piece of that is the parent communication. So parents can actually log in to see their child's progress and receive notifications. Keep in mind as well, with all of the behavior requirements, both at the elementary and secondary schools that need to go on their report cards, this is a great way for you to track students' engagement in class so that you actually have some notes to go back to justify those citizenship grades that you're giving out. So that kind of closes out for that category. Our next category up is subject specific, and I'll turn the microphone over to Jesus for that one.
Okay, I'm back. I know every time we go into some schools that they have iPads or other devices, they ask, well, what are some apps that we can put on here that the students can use? Well, here are a few that are specifically targeted at math and ELA. So hopefully you'll be able to use these here. The first one I want to talk about is the Math Learning Center apps. Now this actually there's a website, or this is a group of apps, math apps that you guys can use either online on your computers, or you could download them onto an iPad, Chromebooks, or even on Windows devices. And these are interactive manipulatives that include number lines, geoboards, pattern pieces, and even some vocabulary cards that you can work with. They are all separate apps, so you can just download whichever ones you feel the need to have. The next one I want to talk about is Front Row. Now, Front Row started off as a math app, and it's a K-8 math app that it's really interesting because it has a teacher and a student part to it. If you log in as a teacher, you set up your grade level with a class roster. Then the students will log in and under your class code that you created, and they will take a prescriptive test. The Front Row then assigns work based on their abilities. It'll be grade level work, but it'll be at their level that they're working on. It is Common Core aligned with over 30,000 questions and over 2,000 videos that are available, and it's all free. There is a paid school edition that gives you access to more detailed reports, but you do get to pull some reports as a teacher. Now, they did add a new ELA portion to this, and it works just like the math app. The teacher, it allows the teacher to assign up to 5 articles per month to the students, where they will read it and then answer a variety of questions that will give an idea of how the students are progressing. The articles and the questions adjust based on their initial assessments as well, so material will not be too easy or too difficult for them. The next app that I want to talk about is the Seesaw app. And this app is a way for students to document their learning into a digital portfolio. Students use it to document their work through photos, videos, drawings, text notes, links, and PDFs. Teachers have to approve the documented work before it'll go on the device. So it's not just the students can go in there and put in whatever they would like. And optionally, there is a parent version for Seesaw that will allow the parent to see what the student is documenting. So if you needed to communicate a little bit better with the parents, or give them an option to see what you are working on in class, you could show them how the students are progressing throughout the year based on the work that they're putting on their Seesaw account. MathSlide, this is a group of apps that allow students to play educational math games by themselves or against other students. They join a game where they slide the correct answer to addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division questions. And there are also a lot of number sense games where students have to slide the correct number shown on the app. So this is one that if you have up to 4 students can play at one time on one iPad. MathShake is an interactive word problem solving app. That's a mouthful. But Students learn how to pick out important parts of a word problem and they turn them into equations. The app will guide them through the specific wordage that is being used on the math problem that they're presented. Now there are free beginner parts to this, and there are parts that you have to purchase to get a little bit more advanced level. But if you try it out with a beginner version, you'll see what a great tool that this can be for students that need help with their word problems. Bluster is an ELA app from McGraw-Hill, and it allows students to practice word skills. Students can practice skills such as rhyming, prefixes, suffixes, adjectives, and more. They can compete with one another or play solo. At this time, I am going to give the microphone back over to Julie.
Thanks, Jesus. The next set of apps, there's two more left. We're going to show apps that you can use for demonstration. So if you have ever considered flipping your classroom, where you would want to create a demonstration of something that you wanted to do, save it as a movie and send it to your students, or if you wanted your students to show something that they knew, they could use the next set of apps. The first one is Doceri. Doceri is an interactive whiteboard app and screencasting tool. You can add images, written notes. You can choose from a large selection of background patterns that they have in it. You can edit, replay, and set stopping points for your presentation. And you can even add a voiceover. Sharing is simply dragging and dropping. You share this one, you save it to the camera roll, and then you're able to upload it from there. Explain Everything is the next one. Explain Everything is an interactive whiteboard as well, a screencasting tool. You can import and insert any document, picture, or video into Explain Everything. You can even video yourself while you're using the app. You can move and animate objects, as well as draw and annotate over the objects, even on your videos. You can record and play and even redo parts. So if you mess up, you can go back and re-record it. Sharing is easy as well. Their websites have lots of tutorials on it. Explain Everything does cost, and the cost for this is $2.99. At this time, I'm going to go ahead and turn the microphone back over to Carol.
All right, thanks guys. You've seen our 40 apps, but we also have some bonus content for you today, because once you start getting into using all of those different apps, you're going to want some additional features in order to help deliver instruction in your classroom. And one of the first things that you're probably going to be thinking about is, how do you display all these myriad devices up on your projection screen? You've probably already got a teacher computer or laptop that's hooked up to your overhead display, or maybe you've still got one that's on a cart. We love you too. But iPads, Android devices, things like that, how can you display those? And so we've got a few suggestions for you, and these do cost money. But they're just that awesome that they might be worth for, using your school money and everything for. The first one is display solutions that go with iOS devices. And there's a variety of different adapters that you can purchase from Apple. And there are also third-party companies that make off-branded ones of the same variety as well. If you have one of the older devices that uses the 30-pin dock connector, that's actually the one shown here in the picture, this wide connector. You can connect that to both a VGA-style projector or even the new HDMI-style projectors. If you have one of the newer iPads, it's got the tiny little connector on the one end, but again, you can present to both the VGA and the HDMI. The VGA sends just the digital picture signal, whereas HDMI will also send the audio signal as well if you have speakers hooked up to your device. For those of you who want a more wireless solution, we've got 3 different products for you to choose from. One of them is called Air Server. The next one is called Reflector. And the third one is called X Mirage. And all of these have a free to try, so you can give it they're usually about a 1-week free trial, so you can try it out and see if it works in your classroom. Definitely consult your technician on these three because they use the wireless network at your school, and so you want to make sure that you choose the product that's going to be compatible with the network at your school and get some assistance from your technician in getting it all set up and ready to go. They do have educator discounts for these products, so definitely look for that on the website if you choose to make a purchase. Some other bonus content that we have for you today is places to go for lesson ideas. And these three that we have listed for you are all iBooks available to download onto a Mac computer or onto an iPad or iPod Touch or iPhone. But even if you're looking at lesson ideas for a mixed environment with maybe some laptops and some Android devices as well, especially for those of you who are doing bring your own device in your classroom, really don't worry about the fact that they're focusing on iOS devices. Look at what the concepts are and the strategies that they're using and then adapt those to all of the devices that you have in your classroom. It's a great jumping off point to get started if you're not sure where to go. Also, don't forget your digital learning coach at your school can be a great resource to help you get started, whether you have just one device in your classroom or a small center set of 4 or 5 devices or a one-to-one environment. We can be right there with you and jump in with both feet together to make it an easy transition process as you get started using these things in your classroom. I'm going to turn things back over to our fearless leader, Mark, and he can wrap things up with you at this.
Okay, thank you so much, Carol, Cindy, Jesus, and Julie. I know that was kind of like the lightning round. A lot of information really quickly. You are more than welcome to go back and view the playback at any time as well. I'm going to do that right now. Make the presentation downloadable for you. If you want to right-click the link there that says 40 apps in 40 minutes webinar PDF, you can actually, you should be able to download it. This is the first time we've tried this with the new Saba. Thomas says it's working. Excellent. Okay, yes, Carol says give us a green check if you're able to download it. Okay, it looks like people are all downloading it. If you have a problem downloading it, simply email me through Interact, Mark Oakton, and I will make sure that I'll send a copy to you. This has all the links that we showed in the presentation and has all the information for you there to make it easier to remember some of those things that you heard about today. All right. To wrap it up, if you have any questions, feel free to contact your local digital learning coach at your school, or one of us. Any of us would be glad to help you, or at least point you in the right direction. We appreciate you taking an hour, a little bit over 40 minutes that we took. I guess it's been 50 now. I think the coaches did a great job of keeping it right at 40 minutes, and I tend to be a little bit overly talkative. So they did a good job. If you have any questions, again, contact us. Make sure that you click the exit button at the top right-hand corner of your screen. If you hover over it, it says exit the session, rather than simply closing out of your browser. That way it records your attendance correctly, and we can give you that credit in PathFloor. Before you go, the last thing I'd like you to do really quickly is to take this quick survey to give us a little bit of feedback for what we've done well, or what you'd like us to do a little bit better to support you. Thank you so much. Again, as soon as you take the survey, go ahead and exit. Have a wonderful remainder of the week, another wonderful week and a half, and then a wonderful 2 weeks off. I know that you're all very excited. If you have questions, you can stick around and type your questions into the text chat box, and we'll take them as they come in. All right, Megan says that she wasn't able to download the link. Megan, send me an email on Interact, and I will send you the presentation. Audra, you listed your email incorrectly. Just send me an email. I won't get it off this text chat when I go to pull the report later on. I want to make sure that I have it correct. So go ahead and send me, Mark Oakton, an email with that information, and I will make sure it's correct. I'm going to stop the recording now.